today's mindful moment. Welcome to our deep dive into the Burgess Shale.
Oh, yeah.
So it's up in the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah, in Canada.
And get this, it has these crazy, well-preserved fossils
I know, it's amazing.
that show us soft-bodied creatures from like over 500 million years ago.
500 million years.
I know, it's mind-blowing.
It's incredible.
We're talking like details of guts
Yeah.
and eyeballs, not just bones.
Not just the hard parts.
Yeah, and that's like almost unheard of in paleontology.
Right, because usually the soft tissues decay.
Right. They just...
All that's left is the bones or the shells.
Yeah, exactly.
So to have these soft tissues preserved is just phenomenal.
Like a time capsule
Exactly.
from like 500 million years ago.
Yeah, it gives us this incredible snapshot of life in the Cambrian period.
It's Cambrian.
Which was this time of just incredible evolutionary experimentation.
Right, so like back then evolution was kind of going crazy.
Yeah, it was like the Wild West of evolution.
Right, like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall
Totally.
to see what would stick.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating is how the Burgess Shale challenges our traditional view of evolution.
You mean that classic image
Yeah, you know.
of the monkey slowly turning into a human?
Exactly. That sort of straight line.
Straight line of progress.
The march of progress idea.
Yeah, but the Burgess Shale is like, wait a minute, that's not really how it went down.
Right. So it's not a straight line at all.
Yeah, it's more like a crazy branching bush with like tons of weird offshoots.
Yeah. And most of those branches just stop.
Yeah, they just dead end.
They don't lead to anything we see today.
It's like evolution was trying out all these crazy ideas.
Exactly.
And then was like, yeah, you know what? Most of these aren't going to work.
It's so different from that cone of increasing complexity that we're so used to seeing.
So instead of a cone, it's more like a
wild tangled bush.
A wild tangled bush.
With all these strange creatures branching off in every direction.
Okay, so we've got this amazing snapshot of the Cambrian Explosion.
This time of wild experimentation. Yes. But how did scientists initially make sense of all these weird creatures? Well, it's interesting, Charles Doolittle Walcott, the guy who discovered the Burgess Shale back in 1909.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant paleontologist.
Okay.
But he was working within that traditional framework of evolution as a march of progress.
So he was trying to fit these crazy creatures into existing categories.
He was trying to shoehorn them in.
It's like trying to shove a starfish into a bird cage.
That's a great analogy.
Like it just doesn't fit.
It doesn't belong.
Right. And so for decades, his interpretations kind of held sway.
Yeah, for a long time, people saw the Burgess Shale through that lens.
Okay, but then things started to change.
They did in the 1970s. You have this paleontologist, Harry Whittington.
Harry Whittington.
And his students, Derek Briggs and Simon Conway Morris.
Okay, a whole team.
They decided to take a fresh look at the Burgess fossils.
So they were like, wait a minute, maybe Walcott didn't get it quite right.
Maybe there's more to this story than we thought.
So what did they do differently?
Well, they were incredibly meticulous.
Okay.
They used cutting-edge techniques for the time, like dissecting the fossils under a microscope.
Wow, like really getting in there.
Yeah, really getting up close and personal with these creatures.
I read that they even used a camera lucida.
Oh, yes, the camera lucida.
What is that thing?
It's like a precursor to tracing paper.
Oh.
It projects an image that you can trace with incredible detail.
So they were making these incredibly precise drawings.
Exactly, and that level of detail was crucial.
So it was all about the details for these guys.
Yeah, because by studying the anatomy of these creatures in such detail, they realized that many of them just couldn't be shoehorned into modern groups at all.
So they were like, wait a minute, these things are totally unique?
They were like nothing we've ever seen before.
Okay, so who was the first Burgess creature to like really rock the boat?
It all started with Morella.
Morella.
It's one of the most common fossils found in the Burgess Shale.
Okay.
And Walcott had classified it as a type of trilobite.
A trilobite.
You know those ancient extinct arthropods?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them.
With the segmented bodies and the hard shells.
Yeah, those guys.
But Whittington, he took a closer look at Morella and discovered that its anatomy was all wrong for a trilobite.
Like, what do you mean all wrong?
Well, it had this head shield with these backward curving spines.
Okay.
And delicate antenna.
Antenna.
Yeah, totally unlike anything seen in trilobites.
So this super common fossil was already challenging the traditional view.
It was like the first crack in the facade.
I bet that raised some eyebrows in the scientific community.
Oh yeah, people were starting to pay attention.
So what did Whittington do?
He struggled to classify Morella.
Yeah, I bet.
He initially placed it in this broader group called Trilobitoidea.
Trilobitoidea.
But even he knew this was a temporary solution.
Like a placeholder.
Exactly like a placeholder until they could figure out what this creature really was.
So it sounds like they were starting to realize that the Burgess Shale was going to rewrite the evolutionary textbook.
They were on the verge of a major discovery.
This is so cool.
And Morella was just the tip of the iceberg.
There's more.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more.
Okay, I am on the edge of my seat. Hit me with the next Burgess oddball.
Okay, next up is Opabinia.
Opabinia.
And this one is truly bizarre.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine a creature with 5 eyes.
5 eyes.
5 eyes.
What?
A backward-facing mouth.
A mouth facing the wrong way?
Yes. And a long, flexible proboscis.
A what?
A proboscis, a long, tube-like structure.
Okay.
Ending in grasping spines.
This sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Did Whittington think he had unearthed an alien?
He must have been tempted to think so.
I mean, 5 eyes. Come on.
It's crazy.
So how did he even figure out what this thing looked like?
Just like with Morella, he painstakingly reconstructed Opabinia from multiple fossils.
Okay.
You see, some fossils are split between 2 slabs of rock,
Right.
like a mirror image.
Okay.
And these are called part and counterpart fossils.
Lone counterpart.
Yes, and by studying these, he could piece together the 3-dimensional structure of Opabinia.
So it was like a paleontological puzzle.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's amazing what you can learn from these fossils.
So it wasn't just one strange fluke.
Yeah.
Opabinia was another creature totally unlike anything alive today,
Right.
which means that the Burgess Shale was challenging one of evolution's central assumptions.
The idea that evolution always leads to increasing complexity.
Right, because here you have these incredibly complex creatures that just vanish.
They left no descendants.
They were like evolutionary dead ends.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Burgess Shale is already blowing my mind.
Just wait, there's more.
Oh, no. I'm not sure my brain can handle it.
He'll be fine.
Okay, so I'm guessing this is where Whittington realized he needed some backup.
He knew he couldn't tackle this alone.
Right.
So he assembled a team, including Derek Briggs and Simon Conway Morris.
Okay, tag team paleontology.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Tell me, what were their different approaches?
Well, Briggs was a master of detail. He focused on what seemed like more conventional arthropods.
Conventional.
Well, relatively speaking.
Right, because in the Burgess Shale, conventional is a relative term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he focused on arthropods with a bivalved carapace.
Bivalve carapace, what's that?
A shell with 2 parts, like a clam.
Oh, okay, like a clamshell.
Yeah, and his meticulous descriptions laid the groundwork for understanding the anatomy and relationships of these creatures.
So Briggs was kind of setting the stage,
He would.
establishing the rules of Burgess anatomy.
Exactly, he was building the foundation.
Okay, and what about Conway Morris?
Conway Morris, he was a different breed.
Okay, how so?
He had a knack for finding the rarest and most peculiar creatures.
He was like a paleontological Indiana Jones.
He was actively searching for the weirdest of the weird.
I love that.
He wanted to push the boundaries of what we thought we knew about the Cambrian.
So what kind of treasures did he unearth?
Well, his discoveries came rapid fire. One was hallucigenia,
Hallucigenia.
a spiny worm with stilt-like legs.
Stilt-like leg.
Yes, imagine that.
Okay, I'm trying.
And then there was Anomalocaris.
Anomalocaris, that's a mouthful.
It turned out to be a huge predator unlike anything we'd seen before.
A huge predator?
Yeah, this thing was the apex predator of the Burgess Shale ecosystem.
Okay, I got to hear more about.
Well, it's a fascinating story because it was initially known from separate fossils.
Separate fossils?
Yeah, one was thought to be a jellyfish.
A jellyfish?
Another a shrimp.
Wait, they thought parts of the same animal were 3 totally different creatures.
You know, it's crazy, right?
Talk about a paleontological mix-up.
It just shows you how piecing together the Burgess puzzle can lead to surprising discoveries.
So how did they finally figure out that all these pieces belong to the same animal?
Well, Whittington and his team, they started to notice similarities in the fossils.
Okay.
Subtle details that hinted at a connection.
Like what kind of details?
Things like the texture of the exoskeleton.
The exoskeleton.
Yeah, the hard outer shell.
Okay.
And the shape of certain appendages.
Appendages.
The limbs or other body parts that stick out.
Okay.
And gradually they started to piece it all together.
So what did this Franken creature look like when they finally put all the pieces together?
Imagine a massive arthropod.
Mass. How big are we talking?
Some estimates put it at over 2 feet long.
2 feet?
Yeah, that's pretty big for a Cambrian creature.
That's huge.
It had these grasping appendages,
Like claws.
kind of like claws and huge eyes.
So this thing was clearly a top predator.
Oh, yeah, it was the king of the Burgess Shale.
Wow. That's incredible. So alongside this incredible anatomical diversity,
Right.
you also had complex ecological relationships.
Exactly.
Predators and prey, just like today.
Just like today.
That's fascinating.
It is, and it raises some intriguing questions. Well, for example, if the Burgess Shale was such a unique snapshot in time, has anything similar been found elsewhere?
Ooh, good question. Was it just a fluke, or is this a window into a much bigger phenomenon?
That's what we're going to explore next. So the Burgess Shale is not a fluke.
So there are others.
Yeah, we've found other sites with these amazingly preserved soft-bodied fossils.
Wow. So the Burgess Shale wasn't just a one-off event.
Nope, it seems to have been a more widespread phenomenon.
So like what other places?
Well, there's some incredible sites in China.
China.
Yeah, they're called the Chengjiang biota.
The Changjiang biota.
And they're even older than the Burgess Shale.
Older, wow.
Yeah, they push this phenomenon back even further to the very beginning of the Cambrian Explosion.
So this is like rewriting our understanding of early evolution.
It's challenging so many of our assumptions.
Okay, so we've got this wild diversity.
Right.
Followed by massive extinction.
Yeah.
So what are some of the theories about why this happened?
Well, there are a few ideas floating around.
Okay.
One idea is that right after the Cambrian Explosion, there's just a ton of ecological space.
Ecological space.
Yeah, like a lot of empty niches for all sorts of life to fill.
So it was like a free-for-all.
Exactly, anything goes.
But then things got more crowded.
They did as the ecosystem filled up.
Yeah.
Only a few designs proved successful in the long run.
It's like a game of musical chairs.
Yes.
When the music stops, not everyone gets a seat.
Exactly. And in this case, the music was environmental change.
So it wasn't necessarily about being better.
Right.
It was about being lucky enough to fit into the changing environment.
That's one interpretation.
Okay, what's another possibility?
Well, another possibility is the role of mass extinctions.
Mass extinctions, those are the big ones, right?
Yeah, these are catastrophic events that wipe out huge percentages of species.
And they're often triggered by like asteroids and stuff.
Well, asteroids are one possibility.
Okay.
But there are others like massive volcanic eruptions.
Volcanoes.
Yeah, and sudden changes in climate.
Climate change.
Exactly. And these events can happen unpredictably.
So even the best adapted creatures can get wiped out.
They can.
Just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
It is. It challenges our assumptions about evolution.
It does. We like to think of evolution as this predictable march toward progress.
Right, like a straight line.
Exactly. But the Burgess Shale suggests that chance and historical accidents,
Chance!
yes, what we call contingency, have played a huge part in shaping the tree of life.
So the fact that we humans are here today might be less about our inherent superiority and more about a series of lucky breaks.
That's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really makes you reconsider our place in the universe.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the Burgess Shale gives us a new perspective on evolution.
How so?
It shows us that the history of life is not a single narrative.
Not a straight line.
No, it's a vast web of possibilities shaped by contingency.
A web of possibilities.
Yes, and that means the future is not predetermined.
So we have the power to shape our own destiny.
In a way, yes.
That's actually quite empowering.
It is. It's a call to action.
A call to action.
Yes, it's a reminder that our choices matter.
That we can make a difference.
Exactly. We're not just passengers on this evolutionary journey.
We're active participants.
We are.
Wow. This is heavy stuff.
It is, but it's also incredibly exciting.
It is, because it means that the future is full of potential.
Exactly. And who knows what amazing discoveries are still out there waiting to be made.
Maybe there are more Burgess Shales out there just waiting to be found.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me neither. It's going to be an amazing ride.
I'm ready to buckle up.
Me too.
This has been an incredible conversation.
It has.
I've learned so much.
I'm glad to hear that.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Burgess Shale, what are the key takeaways you hope our listeners will carry with them?
Well, I hope they come away with a renewed sense of wonder at the sheer diversity of life that's existed on our planet.
The Burgess Shale is a testament to that.
It is, with its bizarre and beautiful creatures.
It's a reminder that nature is full of surprises.
And that our own existence isn't inevitable.
Right. We're here because of an incredibly long chain of chance events.
Any of which could have turned out differently.
It's a lesson in humility.
It
And finally, I hope our listeners leave with a thirst for more knowledge.
A desire to explore further.
The Burgess Shale is just one chapter in the vast story of life.
There are countless mysteries waiting to be uncovered.
Countless wonders yet to inspire us.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the wonders of the natural world.
Beautifully said, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to explore the Burgess Shale for MA. Stephen Jay Gould's book, Wonderful Life, is an excellent place to start. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and check out the links in the episode description for more information. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the wonders of the natural world.